Hello, everybody. I'm Lizzy Bean with Stitch People. Thank you so much for joining. If you are here, hello. If you are watching later, hello. We thought we would do a quick webinar, just a few minutes of a hangout. We've been getting a lot of questions about Stitch People and where to begin. Over the years, our library has grown and grown and grown. And if you're new to Cross Stitch Family Portraits, it can be a little overwhelming to know where to start. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I am going to stall for just a minute just to make sure we have people on, just to make sure things are going. But just want to give everybody a second to hop in and say hello. Please feel free to leave comments. Let us know if we can talk about anything specific. So without further ado, let me show you our first flagship book and tell you about it. So when Stitch People began, it was something that I did as a hobby that I then turned into a business where I would make cross-stitch family portraits that looked very much like this. And I would take your photo and make it into this style, send it back to you. After many, many hundreds of these and many pictures being posted on the internet, we saw people posting that they wanted to learn how to do it too. So that's when I wrote Do It Yourself Stitch People. And our first edition of this book was launched in 2014. And it has everything you need to know about how to make a cross-stitch family portrait. So I thought I would just give you an overview of this book for those of you who have maybe seen it around, who don't have one, who've been thinking of getting it. This is really the Bible of cross-stitch family portraits, if you will. Let me show you the table of contents. So we talk about the design philosophy. We talk about book registration, because with this book, you get access to the Stitch People community, which is this super great group on Facebook where people share photos and ideas and ask questions and help each other, and it's really happy and uplifting and a great place to hang out. There's a part about using this book. We go over materials. We go over how to cross stitch if you've never cross stitched before, or if you haven't cross stitched since your grandma taught you when you were 8 years old, which is a lot of our story. There's a cross stitch review section in here, and then it goes into mapping out your pattern. So after you read, and I do recommend, if you have this book, reading through the information at the front, especially how to use the book. It goes over, there's color tabs, it goes over what things are and where they are and how to find them. We also talk a lot about after materials. And after Cross Stitch 101, we talk about creating your pattern. And this right here is the gold. So creating your pattern, how to cut the fabric, how to plan it out on the back, how to space your characters, all of that, how to layer your characters, and more. And then after the character design pages, where you can keep track of your designs, we have pages and pages and pages of men, women, children, cats, and dogs of all sizes in all sorts of attire, your casual wear, formal wear, professional wear, anything you might need to create a, basic family portrait. We then have, let's see, cats and dogs, I think I mentioned. We've also got a page of small pets in here. And then we've got a ton of accessories, as well as 16 different alphabets you can use in your portrait. We also have 12 more on the website, but then we have tons of resources. So how to include a departed loved one, how to do graphic and floral, how to do straight hair. We have color recommendations. So everything you need to know, literally, about creating your own family portrait is here in Do It Yourself Stitch People. Plus a whole section at the back of portraits I've stitched and portraits stitched by members of the Stitch People community to give you some inspiration. We've also got a great glossary. This is my pride and joy. So hopefully anything you're looking for is listed in here. And if it's not in this book, it lists, for example, if you're looking for hay barrels, or something, if you're doing something for a bat mitzvah, if you need some yarmulkes or Jewish related patterns, we have a whole religious and cultural wear downloads online. And so see Judaism, for example, or see Stitch People's Farm Animals book, or Occupations and Hobbies. It tells you where to find what you're looking for that may go beyond the bounds of this book. So this really is the ideal and fullest place to start as far as designing and stitching your very own cross-stitch family portraits. But I do want to show you a couple other resources. If this feels intimidating to you and you're not quite ready to jump into it, we do have Stitch People Basics, which is a really, really boiled down version of this. This goes over how to design your characters, yes, but it really focuses on putting it all together and mapping it out and it's really focused on all the pattern elements as well. Versus Stitch People Basics is a stepping stone. If you're feeling a little cautious and you don't trust your design skills, which is fine. First of all, trust your design skills. Second of all, it's fine if you don't. Stitch People Basics works you through the design technique, the process of creating each character individually, which then you can compile into a greater family portrait. So with the Stitch People Basics, we'll design a character together. We talk about body type, we talk about clothing, we have some very basic clothing options, we talk about hair, and we have basic hair color recommendations, basic hairstyles, and then we talk about skin tone, we talk about putting it all together. There's 2 alphabets in this book. It's more of a workbook for you. And then it talks about how to combine it all together and what your next steps would be to make it into a portrait. It also has, tip for height customization. But then at the back, we have character design pages, and we also have some other blank templates back here for planning your portraits that are really, really good. It's basically like coloring, tracing, coloring, however you want to think about it. And here, I've used a couple of these. And that's that on Stitch People Basics. If you have either of these books and you're looking for something to help hold your hand to supplement them, those graph paper pages in the back, those templates, we have compiled in our workbook, which goes really, really well with basics. It also can accompany the do-it-yourself Stitch People. The workbook it's not, let's see, these have like really nice sheen covers. The workbook is meant to be kind of used and abused, repurchased, tossed out, recycled if you want to. It's just a book of all sorts of templates that you can use to make your family portrait designing easier. So we have an individual with pets or accessories, couple with pets, new baby, wedding, family of 5, 6 adults, various heights of adults. We have repeated shorter forms, average height forms, tall height forms, children, pets, and a blank grid at the back. So once again, you can kind of see in the preview here, this is the average height forms. So this would just be if you need a character of an average height, you don't want to do it yourself on a piece of graph paper, you can just color in one of these and use it if you want. If it goes wider than this, these are all really light on the graph paper, so you can use what you need, ignore what you don't. We've also got some layouts that are ready to go for you. So for example, this is a family of 5. We have room for a large, medium, or small pet, child, adult, teenager, child. We have room for text at the bottom. So you can just color this in and you have a pattern ready to go. So those are kind of your 3 options for getting started with Stitch People. You've got your holding your hand basics option. You've got the just jumping in with your templates option, or these go really well together, the basics and the workbook. Or we've got do-it-yourself Stitch People 2nd edition that has hundreds of patterns, hundreds of resources, tons you can mix and match and put all together. Pregnant bellies and beards, and we've even got scarves for people who are bald and like to cover their head with scarves. We've got accessories of all kinds. So these are really going to be your places to start. The workbook could also go easily with do-it-yourself Stitch People. It's just a time saver for people who design by hand instead of on the computer. So are there any questions that I can answer while we're hanging out?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. Awesome. Well, let me also give you a brief overview. We've got a ton of digital patterns online, but we've also got a number of books that can help you. If you've seen more complicated looking portraits, that would either be likely because of backgrounds or floral motifs. Floral motifs is going to give you the florals at the bottom of your portraits that you see going around. We had a lot of people request floral motif patterns, so we made them, and this has a little more detailed instruction for completing stitches. So straight stitch, back stitch, cross stitch, French knot, wagon wheel, chain stitch, all sorts of things. And then these go from really, really basic, this is just straight stitches, to really, really advanced, where you get floral motifs that look more complicated. We've also got numbers of color combinations so that you can pick florals that coordinate, and video instruction to accompany this as well. So this is one way to add a little pizzazz to your portraits. We've also got backgrounds, which is for if you want fuller patterns. So Stitch People tends to be fairly minimal. At least that's how it started, was just characters on a white backdrop. But if you're interested in making a full scene, maybe of a national parks trip, or, you know, here's Arches. If you come out to Utah and go to Arches, this is, you know, your big redwood trees. This is Bar Harbor. Yeah. Acadia National Park, Bass Harbor Headlight. Weddings, all sorts of things in your backgrounds book. So this has elements that you can use to mix and match and make your own patterns, but it's also got scenes and little moments throughout that you can utilize for your pattern making or for your various needs. So this is one way to sort of up the ante with your designs, with your portraits, if you're looking for something a little bit more complicated. Last but not least, we have a number of other supplemental books. We've got holiday backgrounds, which is very similar to backgrounds, just holiday themed. We've got, you know, Victorian London. We've got manger, and we've got all sorts of stuff. Menorahs and various festive feasts that you can make. Christmas trees. We've got kind of the candy wonderland. We've got tropical Christmas, as well as if you wanted to make like a nut, here it is, Nutcracker. We have Nutcracker patterns available as a digital download, as well as Christmas Carol patterns. But if you want more of a background for that, that's part of this book as well, holiday themed. And then we have Occupations and Hobbies and Weddings. These again are all supplemental. Occupations and Hobbies is exactly what it sounds like. Judges' robes, doctors' scrubs, government workers. We've got kayaking and fishing, photography, musical instruments, chefs and hairstyles. A lot of people make hairdresser thank yous or teacher thank yous. We have a second edition of Occupations and Hobbies available in digital format online that has way more teachers, way more medical professional stuff, all sorts of patterns for occupations and hobbies. And then wedding portraits are really popular. Stitch People patterns and portraits make for really great gifts for newlywed couples. The traditional anniversary gifts are such that the second year is cotton. So Aida fabric being cotton and floss being made of cotton. It makes for a really fun cotton themed second anniversary present. So the weddings book is all sorts of things that can help supplement your wedding portraits, from florals and banners and text to all sorts of attire and scenery elements that you might see in a wedding. You know, groomsmen layouts and outfits. How cute is that? We've got the bride tribe, and then we have tons and tons and tons of bridesmaids dresses, veil types, wedding dresses, everything like that. So depending on your needs, this also breaks down colors and just real wedding specific information that might come in useful for if you're doing a lot of wedding portraits, as well as breaking down techniques that come in handy during the making of wedding portraits. So that is a brief overview of the Stitch People library as a whole and everything that you can sort of expect with our books if you've been curious and wanting to learn more. But back to the very, very basics, Stitch People Basics, the Stitch People Workbook, and Do-It-Yourself Stitch People are going to be what you should go to get started. There are dress options in Do-It-Yourself Stitch People. Talks about lace techniques. We talk about bouquets a little bit. There's a little bit of wedding information in here. So these are really going to be the ones to get you started and to get you on your way to making your very first Stitch People portrait. And we can't wait to have you in the Stitch People community with us. Are there any other questions? Any questions coming in that I can speak to?
We've got a lot of people watching, but
awesome.
Specific questions. I'd be interested. You could ask for future videos like this. Are there any specific?
Oh, that's a great idea. So Hobby Spencer is here. For those who don't know him, Spencer and I started Stitch People back in 2013 is really when we started doing things online beyond just me making portraits for friends. So he's been keeping an eye on the chat, and he suggested I ask, tell me if we do more webinars like this in the future, just like 20-minute information, answering questions. This one was primarily for, we've been getting people writing in, with this idea of where do I start? what do I do first? You guys have a huge library. What does it all mean? Who is it all for? Etc. and so forth. So we just sort of wanted to give an overview of like, this is where you start. These are your two really good starting options. Got a lot of other options with the floral motifs and the weddings, etc. But this is really where you want to start. Plus, we have tons of digital patterns online that you can purchase, download as PDFs. You're more than welcome to print them for your use at home. But what kinds of things can we talk about in the future? What other information are you curious about? We want to make sure that you know what's available to you and that we are here to help you stitch your dreams, make your stitchy dreams a reality. So please definitely let us know if you have any thoughts in the chat about that. As far as stitch classes go, which is a very natural suggestion some of you might make, we do have a Stitch People Club. It's a monthly club where you get a monthly Stitch People pattern, usually something really cute, like, one of my favorites was like, let's talk about it. And it's like this little taco pattern with a little person coming out of it. Just cute little Stitch People related patterns. And then we have, the Stitch People Club includes like a perpetual discount to stitchpeople.com. It includes a monthly technique class. It includes a monthly, what we call sip and stitch, where we just get on a Zoom call for those who can make it that month. And we just hang out and stitch together. So that's an option for if you're wanting ongoing instruction. We also have past events. We just finished, and I have my house right here. We just finished our beach bungalow house class, and I have yet to finish the full bungalow house. I still need to add the roof. I still need to add the water and finish the stone and the greens. I mean, it's that recent that we finished it. I haven't even finished my portrait. But we have the hand-stitched house book and classes about how to do that. The reason I bring up this bungalow is if anybody's curious about embroidered houses, this bungalow class we did, the very first class, we designed the pattern together. So not only do we teach the embroidery techniques, I taught and we worked together on how to convert a photo of a house into a pattern, how to plan out that pattern, choose your colors, choose your stitches, and then also do the stitches. So if you want a start to finish class lesson on embroidered houses, that's where to go. But we have numbers of events and classes too that are available. How to stitch real looking hair, we did realistic hair and color theory in our last event. Lots of classes you can buy that were live at one time, but are now recorded and available so that for, continued learning. But yeah, any other questions before we log off? I don't want to take all night.
We got a bunch
that good.
Just kind of flew in. Things like, can we buy the Basics book on Amazon? Not currently.
Basics book is not currently available on Amazon. We've only got that one at stitchpeople.com. So if you want this physical version of it, that's stitchpeople.com. But we also have a digital version available. So you can buy it as a PDF. If you have a personal printer at home, you can print that at home.
Someone says they're getting back into cross stitch. They loved it as a kid.
Welcome back to cross stitch.
What brand of floss do you use?
Ooh, I use DMC. I love DMC floss. Like I said, we just finished this embroidery class, so I have all my greens, all my browns. It's all still here on my desk. So as you can see, I've got a lot of floss. These blue colors, I can't wait to do the water. But I love DMC floss. So all the colors that I reference in our books are DMC. I think Anchor, I've heard, is a good brand. I feel like, I sort of fell into using DMC because it was available and ready. They have hundreds and hundreds of colors. And then the more I've gotten to know them as a brand and as a company, I'm team DMC. Love those guys. So definitely recommend DMC. Let's see.
Nikki's asking about house backgrounds.
Where's my house book?
Your house book is over here.
So house backgrounds are tricky. We've had a lot of people say, oh, do a house book. Well, I feel like houses are even more varied than people, because at least all people, generally speaking, have like a trunk of some kind, legs of some kind, or leg helpers of some kind, and a face and a head. Elements of human beings are all generally there, versus elements of houses really varies. So we do have the hand-stitched house book. This is written by Teresa Lawson, who worked for Stitch People for a very, 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 very long time, until unfortunately recently, thanks to the economy. But she is an incredible embroiderer and has helped build our company. And she wrote this great book about making embroidered houses. That's her bread and butter, in the same way that the cross-stitch family portraits are Stitch People's bread and butter. And this book is an incredible resource on how to make embroidered houses that can easily be integrated into Stitch People portraits when paired together. We have a lot of people who will stitch something like this on Aida fabric and integrate the Stitch People characters into their design. So kind of following the instructions in this book, or again, in the events that we do for that, the classes that you can buy after the fact, that's definitely an option. As far as background houses go, we don't have patterns for like background houses. We do offer our, we just finished the beach bungalow class. We also have a Halloween house class. Would you pass me that portrait? Last Halloween, we did another embroidered house class. We made this a spooky cottage. This is, I won't confirm or deny if it is the Sanderson sisters cottage from Hocus Pocus. It is just merely a spooky Halloween cottage. But this pattern, the beach bungalow pattern, and we did a Christmas time gingerbread house. We released those as embroidery patterns as well as fully cross-stitchable counted cross-stitch patterns. So if you're looking for sort of a house base, you can buy just the gingerbread house pattern, just the Halloween house pattern, just the bungalow pattern, and then you can kind of use those cross-stitch patterns as house, now I was going to say foundations, but that is a real part of a house. As a foundation for your pattern, I will say, that would be an option for a cross-stitched house. So hopefully that helps these guys here. Any other questions?
Yeah, so I think in the future a topic we can cover is Steph asked about best ways to organize materials for works in progress.
Works in progress specifically.
Works in progress specifically. Do you want to tackle it?
I can give you a few tips anyway. Just right here, so I have, this is still my work in progress from the spring fling. Look at that, love to see it. So if you have any tins or Tupperwares, depending on the size of your project, sometimes it helps to just set aside the floss. Your hoop can live right in there and keep it on a shelf or under a chair or what have you. You can keep your scissors in there. Some people, this is a pin cushion I bought from Etsy from our Stitch People ambassador, Alice in the Bear, little N, on Instagram, Giselle. So if you have, anything pin cushions wise, some people like to use those magnetic, you can get them at like Home Depot. There are magnetic dishes typically used for nails and screws, that kind of thing. So that can be helpful to keep your metal items together, your needles, your scissors. So I like to just use tins if I have anything around, tins or Tupperwares for ongoing projects. I also have these. You can get these on Amazon. They are, hopefully you can see as I'm moving it around, it's like a thick plastic but semi-transparent little project bag. So you can sort of see the colors in there, and it's kind of easy to see, what it is you're working on. This right now, I had set aside for, right now we're working through some album covers. This is for our Stitch People technique classes for the club that I mentioned. I'm doing album covers of a music artist I like, just to give it a theme, but I had set these aside to finish this square. So this was kind of my project pouch, if you will, as I was working on that. As you can see, I have a good time setting aside the colors into a project pack, but I don't have an easy time putting those colors away when I'm done using them. But those are a couple options. Just something, again, even as simple as a Tupperware or a Ziploc bag if you don't want to get the special ones off Amazon. That really helps. And then it's easy to take it on the go if you're going to the pool or going to a friend's and you want to have something to keep your hands busy. It helps to have things on those bobbins. I don't always do that. This was for our most recent class that I bought all new colors for, so I just haven't put them on cardboard bobbins yet. But then it helps because you can just take the little bobbins as you go. So yeah, that's an option. Any other cues?
No, but thank you to everyone who has already purchased.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Hey, thanks! I hope that makes me feel like maybe you got the information you needed. I feel good about that. Thank you. Because yeah, I know a lot of people scroll the website and then they email us like, I don't know what to do. There's a lot of consternation because our library has grown massively over the last, 10 years. So yeah, it's, we're playing with ways to get more information out there to make life easier and make more sense as far as Stitch People is concerned. So yeah, thanks for your purchase. Thanks for joining. Thanks for asking questions. We really do just want to make sure you have all the information you need if this is something that interests you. And if it doesn't, no worries. It's okay. It's not everybody's style. It's not everybody's thing. And maybe the information I gave you tonight was what you needed to say, yeah, it's not for me. In which case, I wish you well. And I hope you find another really great and fulfilling hobby.
If you're new to Stitch People, email you for it.
Yeah.
We'll send you a discount or something.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. If you're new to Stitch People, you can email Lizzy, Lizzy, that's me, at stitchpeople.com. Full disclosure, sometimes Spencer helps answer emails. Sometimes I do emails. So you might hear from one or the other of us. But yeah, if you email Lizzy at stitchpeople.com with any of your questions, Lizzy with a Y, ask anything you need. If you're curious about anything, we can also... what's the newsletter sign up?
Just have me email you.
Okay, yeah, just email us and ask about our newsletter because through the newsletter, we'll send out like free patterns occasionally or, information or discounts, that kind of stuff. So just pop us an email. It's like, hey, I was on your webinar and you said to email you. And we'll make sure that you have access to all the latest, promotions and things going on. I don't think we have any currently going, but we'll hook you up. You nice webinar people who've joined tonight. So yeah, email Lizzy, Lizzy, at stitchpeople.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Arlinda, I see your comment about Ada questions, and I think maybe we could do an entire, video on just sort of Ada recommendations in the future.
Sure.
But we're coming up on a half hour.
Yeah,
so I
don't want
to keep it short. Do you want to tease Wednesday?
Yeah, so Wednesday we are announcing some cool new things. We are going to be releasing some things in the future, and on Wednesday we'll be talking about what all that is. So, do we have it? What is it? Wednesday at
5 p.m. Mountain.
Wednesday at 5 p.m. Mountain.
I put a link in the chat.
We'll be going live again. There's a link in the chat if you want to join us. We'll be releasing some new things in the future, talking about what that's going to be on Wednesday. And then, yeah, just to reiterate, Arlinda, Spencer said he sees your stuff coming up in the chat. And maybe materials and fabric is a good way to go. We do address so much in, especially do-it-yourself Stitch People, in the materials section, talking about what I recommend and why. The short answer is I really like size 14 Ada fabric. Usually use 3 of the 6 threads of floss when you stitch on size 14 fabric. And size 14 fabric is the most common. It comes in the most colors. At craft stores, you can get it online. So that's what I generally recommend for Stitch People portraits. That's what this page is. It's just showing light, medium, dark skin tones on various colors, just to kind of give you a sense of what you might expect with different colors of fabric. So here we are at 7:30. Been about a half an hour. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks for your interest. Email Lizzy at stitchpeel.com. I keep saying like Stitch Peel. That's not it. Lizzy at Stitch People, as you see here on your screen. Email me, Lizzy at stitchpeople.com, and let us know you're on the webinar. We'll send some discounts or something your way, and we look forward to seeing you maybe Wednesday at 5 p.m. Link is in the chat, and we'll be doing more webinars like this in the future to answer questions and help you understand all the information we have out there at your disposal. So, without further ado, thanks so much for coming. Have a great day and happy stitching.